Jesus shows up at church. It's the Sabbath and the congregation in Capernaum is assembled. It's probably not unlike any other congregation. Each person has brought the sum total of another week's worth of experiences. Some probably come feeling weighed down. Some just not feeling it, tapping their foot and ready to get through this and on with their day. Some are surely sleepy. Some are probably hyped up on too much coffee. Some are perhaps feeling uncertain about their faith on this particular day, wrestling with why they even bother to come. Some are deeply relieved and grateful to have this time set apart to give thanks to the Lord with my whole heart in the assembly of the upright, as our song puts it. All this humanity together in one place and time. And on this particular Sabbath in Capernaum, a man, a stranger, stands up to teach. And something about him, Mark doesn't tell us quite what it is, but something about the way he teaches suggests that this is something more than just a random guest preacher. This man speaks with authority in a way others do not, cannot. He knows things. This man speaks with power. This human being is unlike any other. And as the congregation begins to absorb this, a man starts yelling, "What have you to do with us, Jesus of Nazareth? Have you come to destroy us? I know who you are, the Holy One of God." Now, I think we've actually all had those awkward moments, right? Like in church, or maybe a meeting, or any kind of gathering, perhaps a family gathering, when someone has some kind of break. Someone behaves erratically or inappropriately, or lets out all of their rage in a single, poorly timed moment. I bet a few members of this congregation that day gasped, and some probably attempted to shush. I wonder if some were scared. I would have been. What was this man going to do next? I imagine some might have made a move to remove him from the premises. But before anyone could do that, Jesus speaks. He says, "Be silent and come out of him." And an unclean spirit comes out of the man. The process is not without pain or suffering as the man writhes on the floor. But here's the thing. The spirit leaves the man. The man does not leave the congregation. This says something about God, and it says something about church. The most wonderful and perhaps the most terrifying thing about Jesus is that when we meet him, he knows us. He knows everything about us. He knows us at the most fundamental level. He knows who we are. and he instantly distinguishes that true identity as child of God from the destructive things we have done or are doing. It feels odd to the 2024 ear to hear of unclean spirits. But really, I think we all know how it feels to be possessed by them. I have in my life experienced the kind of anxiety that stops me in my tracks, makes my heart race and my stomach burn. It makes me snap at people I love, people trying to help me out of my suffering. And when that happens, it is like some spirit has come over me. It is like something or someone has possession of my whole body. This is not to deny my own agency or relinquish responsibility for my actions or my words when this happens. It is to say that my behavior in those moments is not the sum total of who I am. To take accountability for whatever we've done wrong is good. It leads to healing and wholeness. It is necessary. But to believe that our worst behavior is fundamentally all that we are is called shame. And hear me when I tell you that Jesus is not in the shame business. I don't know where that rumor started. Well, I have some ideas, but that's for another sermon. No, Jesus is not in the shame business. Jesus is in the mercy business. And I believe that is what he is teaching this morning. Some of you may have read Brian Stevenson's wonderful book, Just Mercy. A lawyer, social justice advocate, founder of the Equal Justice Initiative, and much more, Stevenson writes, quote, I frequently had difficult conversations with clients who were struggling and despairing over the situations, over the things they had done or had been done to them that had led them to painful moments. Whenever things got really bad and they were questioning the value of their lives, I would remind them that each of us is more than the worst thing we have ever done. I told them that if someone tells a lie, that person is not just a liar. If you take something that doesn't belong to you, you are not just a thief. Even if you kill someone, you are not just a killer. End quote. To see someone as more than the worst thing they have ever done, or even the bad thing they are doing at this very moment, is to show mercy. And guess what? We can show it for ourselves too. When we are tormented by whatever demon or spirit or presence or whatever we want to call it, these are the moments we may indeed feel that God has nothing to do with us. We may feel threatened by God's presence, unworthy of God's presence, angry at God's presence, fearful of God's presence. We may scream that God has nothing to do with us. We may worry that God is there to destroy us, to punish us, to shame us. But God sees past all of it, sees right through to the child of God that God created. And God meets that child every single time with mercy. Now, most of us will not come to church and see Jesus of Nazareth himself in the pulpit. But we will have the opportunity to come to church and see Jesus in every person here. And through each other, we have the opportunity to really see one another, to really be seen by one another, to receive and show mercy and the healing that comes of it. This is church at its best, I think. All this humanity coming together still, bringing all our experiences and our burdens and our joys and our doubts, our tapping feet and our sighs of relief, bringing ourselves and sometimes our troublesome spirits, and showing one another and the community around us the love and service and grace and mercy of Christ. Welcoming the child of God always, and sometimes helping that child show an unhelpful spirit out the door. This is not to say it's easy. It can take a lot of patience and a sense of humor. And in the face of deep offenses, it can take a whole lot of prayer and a whole lot of time and a whole lot of support. This work is not individual. We do it as a community. So when something is too much for one of us, the rest of us can hold it. When one of us simply cannot forgive, we can do that. When one of us cannot bring ourselves to pray, we can take it on. Just imagine if the whole world caught fire with this way of being. This way of mercy and community. This way that anticipates that world, that kingdom that is to come. The one Jesus taught about and continues to teach about through time and through space to countless congregations.